Good morning, students. Welcome back to Java programming class. In the previous session, we discussed about the util package, java.util package. In that, we discussed about the scanner class, which is helpful in reading the input into your program. Then we have discussed different string handling classes. Like we discussed about the basic string class. We said this string class is a part of your java.lang package, but as of now we are discussing the string handling, so we discussed about string class as well. Not only string class, we discussed three different classes from java.lang package which are helpful in handling the strings. Your string class, your string buffer class, then we also discussed the string builder class. The differences between these three classes we have discussed in detail with programming examples. And as I said, it is an important question for your external exams. So you need to be good in that string handling in Java. And we also discussed one class which is also helpful in string handling, that is inside java.util package. It is not part of your java.lang package, rather it is available inside java.util package, that is string tokenizer class. We discussed about this string tokenizer class as well, and how it is dividing your string, your given string, into number of tokens depending on a delimiter, isn't it? We are supplying a delimiter, and according to that delimiter, the string tokenizer class is dividing your complete string into number of tokens. And when we do this application development, many of the times this kind of thing is required in order to process the input, whatever input stream you are receiving. In order to process that input streams, you need this type of string handling classes. Okay, so according to our requirement, according to our need, we can use any of these classes. Okay, hopefully you understood this thing. And in today's class, we further continue into your java.util package, and we see what other concepts we have and what we gonna complete in today's session. Okay, so yes, we have like IO streams. We have completed all the concepts related to IO streams, input output streams. We have seen the different classes and different interfaces which are helpful in IO input output processing. Then we have also seen the file handling in Java. Then the concept of streams we discussed. Then byte stream and character stream, the difference between byte stream and character stream, the classes which are helpful in handling this byte stream and character stream, that also we discussed. And we have also get into the concept of serialization, and we have seen what is serialization and what is deserialization, and with programming examples I have explained. Then the lang package object class in detail we discussed. The different wrapper classes what we have according to our primitive types, though about those wrapper classes also we had an idea. Okay, then we were exploring the java.util package, and in that we discussed the scanner class and string tokenizer class. Not only string tokenizer, the three important classes from java.lang package which are helpful in string handling, that also we discussed, we covered. And in today's session, we see the remaining concepts from your java.util package, that is your bit set, date, calendar, and the timer classes. Okay, the four remaining classes we try to complete in today's session. I won't be taking much time in this session, and in one more session, I mean in tomorrow's session, hopefully I will try to complete the regular expressions. I thought it will take more than one session, but we will see. If possible, I will make a lengthy session, like a 2-hour session, and I will try to wind up the regular expression in tomorrow's class itself. Okay, because I want to give some time to you people so that you can start the preparation before your mid exams start. Okay, so if possible, from after tomorrow's class, if possible, I will try to provide you with the important questions for your second mid exams, and I will try to revise those concepts in my future classes. Okay, before your mid exams and after the completion of the syllabus. Okay, I will try to revise those concepts. And as we have committed the collections framework, the what we call the servlets, that is web-based application development in Java, that is using servlets, using applets, and the JDBC programming, that we try to discuss in our after mid-exam classes. Okay, I will try to post like 2 to 3 videos. That's it. I will complete the entire concept in that 3 videos, hopefully. One video for collections framework, one video for applets and servlets, and one video for JDBC. That's it. Okay, so yeah, quickly in today's session, as we said, we're going to discuss about the bitset java.util package, and in that java.util package we're going to complete the bit sets, and we're going to see the date, calendar, and the timer classes. These 4 classes we need to conclude. So quickly, java.util package, and in that we were discussing about the bitset class. So Java's bitset class implements a vector of bits. So it is something like an array, we can say. So an array which can grow and which can shrink according to your need. Okay, there is no specific size we are going to have for this one. Initially it will have a specific size, but it is not like your regular array that it will be bounded to that size only. It can grow and it can shrink automatically. Okay, so the bit set grows automatically as more bits are needed. So if you need more bits into the what we call bit set, it will grow automatically. Okay, the bitset class comes under java.util package. It is a part of your util package, and that util package only we are discussing. And it will extends the object class and implements the serializable and clonable interfaces. Okay, so if you see the declaration of this class into your Java docs, you can come to know this one. So our bitset class, it is extending the object class, and it is implementing the serializable and clonable interfaces. These clonable and serializable interfaces, as we know already in your serialization concept and cloning concept, object class cloning concept, we said these two are simply the marker interfaces. They are not going to have anything to implement. Simply, if one class is implementing this serializable interface, means its object will become serializable. And if a particular class is implementing clonable interface, means its objects will become clonable, isn't it? So that's the only purpose of implementing these serializable and clonable interfaces. You have to remember this point. Okay, so they are just the marker interfaces. They are not going to have anything in them to implement. Okay, so each component of a bit set contains at least one Boolean value. Okay, so the components of bit set, generally we use to store Boolean values, but when we do the practice, we don't do with Boolean values, rather we go with numericals. Okay, when we do the programming, at that time you will understand this thing. So generally it will be used to store the Boolean values. Okay, in your expression, if you have something to represent in terms of true and false like an array, you can go for this bit set. Okay, so the contents of bit set may be changed by other bit set. So it is something like a bitwise. Okay, bitwise operators we are having, isn't it, inside your C language. So bitwise operators, what we do generally to perform the bit level operations. Okay, between the operands, to perform the bit level operations, we go for bitwise operators. So here this bit set is something like that only. We can't say exactly, because over there The bitwise operators we are performing between the regular operands. But here, if you see this bit set, it is a class, isn't it? And when you create the object of this class, it will be something like an encapsulated stuff. It will be something like an what we call the encrypted stuff that you can't break and you can't get into, isn't it? So only with the help of some sophisticated methods we can achieve the manipulations of these bit sets. Okay, so very soon you will understand all those things. So the contents of bit set may be changed. Okay, we are not saying directly we can, so may be changed by other bit sets using these logical operations. So as I said, we need some sophisticated methods in order to achieve the alteration on the bit set. Directly it is not possible. So we have like logical and logical OR and logical exclusive OR. These type of operations we have, and if you perform these type of operations between the bit sets, what will happen? The contents of a bit set may change. The contents of a bit set may change. So logical OR we are saying, and logical exclusive OR. These three are the not only three, we have many different operations, but as an example we have taken only three over here. So the index of a bit set, okay, the index of bits of bit set class is represented by positive integer. Always you have to take, because whenever we are creating an object of bit set, it can go only in the positive directions, isn't it? It can go only in the positive, like your array can go only in the positive directions. We don't have the scope of going back, isn't it? I mean, below 0 we can't go into negative values. That is what. Okay, so each element of bit set contain either true or false value. Initially when you create the bit set with some size, all bits will be assigned to false. Okay, all the bits will have false. Okay, then a bit set is non-safe. I mean, it is not thread safe. Okay, so only through synchronization we can make it a bit safe element. Okay, a bit safe object, a thread safe object we can say. See here, a bit set is not safe for multi-threaded use without using an external synchronization technique. Either you can go for synchronization block, synchronization method, and inside that you have to put this bit set so as to achieve the thread safe mechanism. So by default this bit set, it is not it is not thread safe. Remember this one. Yes, so this bit set class, it is having two different types of constructors. One is without any arguments, and the other one is with arguments. So simply if you create a bit set using without any arguments constructor call, then what will happen? A zero size bit set will be created. Okay, or we can say an empty bit set will be created. An empty bit set object will be created if you call the non-argument or no argument constructor. But if you call the argument bit set constructor, that is argument bit set constructor, what it is taking? It is taking the number of bits. So the size of that bit set will be equivalent to that number of bits. So you generally you have to pass a positive integer value over there, so that a bit set, a positive bit set, I mean a bit set with some size will be created. Okay, whatever integer value you're gonna pass, your bit set size will become equivalent to that one. Okay, remember this one. So the next thing, we have different types of methods, the description and the what we call the prototype and the description I have given over here. The first method is the and not, cardinality, clear, clear with some parameters. Okay, so these are not just the methods. We have a long listing of methods, but I have taken only 6 over here for your understanding. Okay, so for the complete reference of this bit set class, you can go to Java docs. Okay, so simply whenever we are discussing about a particular class, in that class you try to remember a small description about that class and an example program related to that class, a small description, then the declaration. Like when we are discussing about this bit set class, what is the purpose of using this bit set class in Java programming? That purpose is nothing but the small description. You remember that one. After that, the declaration about this class, I mean how this class is declared, inside your java.util package, that description you have to, that declaration you have to remember, that is nothing but public class, class name, okay, public class, class name, implements object, extends object, implements serializable, clonable. That's it. This is the declaration of this class, bitset class. Public class, bitset, extends object, implements serializable, clonable. So after that, this is the declaration. After that, write the constructors, two constructors, one with arguments and one without arguments. So these two constructors you have to remember. Then a list of methods, like 2, 3, if you list, that's more than enough. Nobody will ask you to write the complete listing of all the methods present inside this class. Okay, list just 2 or 3 methods, that's more than enough. Then a program example you have to, like this, a program example you have to give. The purpose of, how we can create this bitset object in our program, and how we can, what we call, perform the different types of operations on this bitset object, that you need to demonstrate. So quickly we will see the demonstration of this bitset class into our Edit Plus. So go and open a Java program, and as it is under util package, you need to import the util package. Import java.util. Okay, I'm importing all the classes under my util package. Then take the class name, it is bitset demo. Okay, so bitset demonstration we are doing, bitset demo. Then inside your PSVM, create the object for bitset class. Okay, so here I'm creating two bitset class objects, one without any arguments and one with arguments. So that you put bitset, why it is not converting? Okay, S is capital, bitset, okay, bs1 equals to new bitset off. Okay, then create another one, bitset bs2 equals to new bit set of, specify the size, suppose some 6 as size I am taking. So now initialize the elements to this bit set. Okay, initialize the elements to this bit set. So what I am doing, bs1 dot, I am calling the set method. Set is a method available inside this bitset class. You can get the description. So just to initialize, see here we are not following any indexing or something. Whatever value you initialize first, that will go into the first index, and whatever value you initialize next, that will go into the second index using the set method. We are not passing any indexing, nothing over here. Directly we are calling the, yes, we have that approach also. Using indexing also we can access. Okay, but for that also we need to depend on some other methods. So when multiple ways are there, at least one way we need to discuss. That one way is through set method I am explaining. The other alternative methods you can get, because as I said, we cannot complete all those things in our regular classes. If you go and see the description about this bitset class under Java docs, you understand how huge the concept is. Bitset concept, it is not something we can complete in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Okay, because I'm allocating only 10 to 15 minutes for this bitset class, because I have to cover so many classes. Our semester time is very less, and I have to cover so many classes, Java classes, predefined Java classes in our discussion. So I'm allocating like 5 to 10 minutes for this bitset class. Okay, but in reality it will take a lot of time. So what I am doing, the first element I am assigning some 0. Okay, then the second element I am assigning, say, bs1 dot set of 1. So generally it will go according, it will be assign the elements, whatever you are assigning, it will be assigned those values in an ascending order. So when we print the bit set, at that time you will understand. That is also one of the advantage of using bit set in our programming. Okay, so bs1 dot set of, say, some 3. Okay, then bs1 dot set of, say, some 2. So now what I will do, I will print that object. So directly you can print system dot out dot println of what is that bs1 object I am printing. So simply concatenate that bs1 and see what you will get on the output screen. So save this program and give name bitset demo. Okay, bitset demo dot java. Program got saved. Go to tools, compile. As you can see, the program got compiled successfully. So now we are executing. Could not find or load main class bitset demo. Okay, I have given here s as small, so I'm making it as capital. Okay, but in the name I have given capital, and here the public class name I have given small. That's the reason. Okay, compile it. Okay, it is correct. Now you just execute. See here 0 1 2 3, even though we have assigned like 0 1 3 2, it is automatically arranging them in order. Okay, 0 1 2 3 it is printing. So like this. So next, try to initialize the second bit set. That also you can do with some random values, so that also you can see on the output screen. Okay, so initially if I don't initialize, I don't give any size to this bit set. Now so see, if I don't initialize the value but I have given the size over here and I am printing that one, just see what it will print. Okay, just put here bs2. Now we are printing bs2. Okay, save it, compile it, enter, then run it. As you can see, it is not printing anything over there. Okay, so if I give the values to it, it will assign those values and arrange them in ascending order, and it will print those values. Okay, hopefully you understood this bit set concept. There are some other demonstrative programs also we have in the listing. So like important points to remember for this bit set class, as we said, the size of the array, it is like an array. It is a collection. It is a collection of elements. So it is like an array only. So the size of array is flexible and can grow to accommodate additional bits as needed. So there is no fixed size, we can say. So the size can grow and can shrink to accommodate as many values as you need inside your program. As it is an array, the index is 0 based, and the bit values can be accessed only by non-negative integers as an index. So if you try to if you try to create an what we call bit set with some negative parameter, then what will happen? You will get some array index out of bounds exception that we will see in program. Okay, calling the clear method. If you call the clear method on the bit set, what will happen? It will make all the bits to false, or it will simply clear all the bits from the bit set. Okay, bit set uses about 1 bit per boolean value. Okay, to access a specific value in the bit set, the get method is used with an integer argument as an index. See, as I said, set method is used to set the values in the there is no particular order. In what order it is setting, we don't know, because it is simply arranging them in ascending order. So in order to access the elements from the bit set, we have to depend on the get method. Okay, there is another demonstrative program we have. So simply we will check this program. By creating a bit set with some negative value, we see what will happen here. -1 we are doing, and try to print that bit set. So just see what will happen, what type of exception you will get. So compile it. Okay, it is successfully compiled. Now run it. As you can see, it is negative array size exception. It is raising an exception, negative array size. That means you are trying to create an array with negative elements. It is not possible. We can create only with positive number of elements or with 0 number of elements, but we can't create an array with negative size. Okay, so that is an exception in our programming. So Java is throwing that exception. Okay, java.lang.negative array size exception. It is a class basically. Okay, and where we got that exception, in the sense inside bitset demo.java. Okay, yeah, hopefully you understood this one. So the next thing is to use the clear method on the bit set. So here you remove this second one and I demonstrate that one only with the help of this. So first we are printing the bit set, then we are applying the clear method on the bit set. So how come that is clear? Uh, Applying the clear method, simply call, yeah, we have two different ways to clear, okay, but first we go with the regular approach only. So that is bs1 dot clear, okay, bs1 dot clear all, okay, this will clear all the bits. So simply print after clearing, uh, yeah, save it, then run it, compile, then just run to see the difference. Here you can see the bit set got cleared, because here we have initialized, and in between these two we have cleared the bit set by using the clear method. So it is simply deleting all the bits which you have assigned. So now it is, I mean, if you don't want to clear all, if you want to create particular elements, like suppose if you say you want to clear only the index 1 to 2, then you can apply like this also. So in this case what will happen, you just see, compile, that is the range, that is the range we have given. We want to clear only 1 2 indexes. So I guess we will get, yeah, like this, 0 2 3, okay, we are getting like this the output. So it is not clearing all, rather it is clearing only a particular element, okay. So this is about bit set. We have further classes to discuss inside this java.util package, so we will go to that and we will see. So the operations, you can even perform the XOR operation, AND operation, and NOT operation, okay, cardinality operation, and finding the length of the bit set operation, okay. Here we have finding the length, here we have printing the bits, here we have the XOR, okay, then we have AND not, cardinality. All these operations you can check from your side, okay. So quickly we go and we see what further classes. The date class, java.date class we have. This is also one of the important class under your java.util package. So to get the date, okay, to get the date into your application, sometimes it will become inevitable to access the date, computer system date or server date into your program, so as to print the date, or so as to do some manipulations, isn't it? So the java.util.date class is going to help you in this regards, or in this scenario, okay. So generally to get the date and time into your Java application, we use this java.date class. It provides constructors and methods which are helpful to deal with date and time in Java. So generally whenever we are saying a predefined class, it only have the constructors as well as the predefined methods which are going to help us in dealing with different things, okay. So java.util.date class implements serializable, clonable, and comparable. So you can even compare the objects of two date classes, okay. Why it is, how come it is becoming possible, in the sense because it is implementing the comparable interface as well, okay. So that's the reason you can simply compare the objects of it is not possible to do with other objects, isn't it? We have to go for methods. But here with respect to date class, you can compare two date class object with one another, okay, whether they are same or whether they are different. Likewise you can get the comparison, okay. So java.util.date class, and it is implementing the serializable, clonable, and comparable interfaces, okay. It is inherited by java.sql date, java.sql time, and java.sql timestamp interfaces, okay. These three interfaces are available under a different package known as java.sql package. About java.sql package we will discuss in the JDBC concepts, and we will not go into deep because it is a very huge concept. Once again, to cover this JDBC, it will take a lot of time, okay. We will just demonstrate few important classes under java.sql package, and we'll do one demonstrating program, okay. So then after calendar class, so see, in java.util package only we have another important class to handle this date and time, that is calendar class, Okay, after this calendar class, most of the constructors and methods of java.util.date class has been deprecated. Deprecated in the sense no more in use, or will be overridden by some other method. Okay, deprecation, when the deprecation of a particular method will happen means if the subclass overrides. If the subclass overrides the existing method, then we call the previous method as the deprecated method, because the functionality what you are expecting, you are not getting, isn't it? You are not getting, or in the market a more advanced functionality is available. Okay, we can go in we can assume this in these two different ways. Okay, the functionality is not up to the mark, or a more advanced functionality or more advanced feature has already available in the market. Okay, so that is the term deprecated means. So the most constructors and most of the methods of this date class, they are already deprecated by the calendar class, which is also available under java.util package. Okay, yeah, here we have a list of constructors under this java.util.date class, one with some arguments and one without any arguments. So simply it will create the date which you want, the date class object which you want, and if you, yeah, if you want the date to be a specific date, unlike the current date or today's date, if you want a particular date to be handled with the help of this date class object, then you have to specify the time in terms of milliseconds, and that time will start from 1970 January 1st and in the midnight. Okay, so from there, from that point onwards, the date will start. So whatever date you want, from that point you have to give that time calculation in milliseconds, so as it will create a date class object for you, whatever desired date you want. These are all the methods under java.util.date class. Yeah, you can get the description, and you can even refer the Java docs. Okay, so we have a long listing of methods, and this is the simple example. So simply what we are doing, we are creating the date class object, and we are displaying that date to the to the output screen, and whatever date we are getting, it will be in the form of a date class stream. That date class stream we can't print directly on the output screen, because output screen it is capable of printing only the string. So there is a need to convert the date class object into string. So toString method, see, this toString method, it is also available not only inside your object class but also inside the date class. Okay, toString method which is available inside the date class can directly convert this date into a string, so that we get that date in the form of a string on the output screen. Okay, so this is something, I mean, I have copied this from somewhere else, so we are getting something else over here, the date. What we will get in our current system, that when we do it we will understand. Okay, so simply I'm demonstrating this date class. So just go to your edit plus and open a new file, and take it as a Java file, and here import the package, import java.util. As we are using only the date class, why to import the complete package? If I put star, the complete package gets imported. I don't want that one, I want only date. Okay, so put the semicolon at the end, and what we are doing over here, demonstration of date. Okay, date demo, like this. So simple thing, create a date class object without any parameters constructor call. Okay, so here date equals to new date of, that's it. Now to print that date object, system.out. We will see, I mean, some of the advanced features inside the date class object we can even print, but we will see what will happen, because most of the methods they got deprecated. So maybe we have some advanced method that will print directly on the, or we can say the Java environment itself is capable of handling date class object. Now we don't know, we will see. So now we are saving the program. So date demo dot java, save it. Now go to tools, compile it, no issues. So just run it. We will see whether any exception. No, it is printing. As you can see, as I said, today's date it is printing. So no need to convert into string now. To string, no need to use. The reason, as I said, many of the methods of date class are deprecated. Deprecated in the sense the advanced features have been implemented on those methods. So their usage is completely obsolete now. So because of that reason only, the date class object, how the programmer has, I mean, how they have given inside your textbook, in the sense they said to use the toString method in order to convert this date class object into a regular string. But without that also, your Java environment is supporting the printing of this date class object directly, the way how I have done over here. Directly I'm using the date class object and I'm printing without calling that toString method. Even though I got the output, see, it is printing today's date, that is August 26 and 10:21 AM, like that it is printing IST, okay, 2021. Hopefully you understood this phenomenon. So what happens if I call toString method? So now you see, compile, it is successful. So then run, it is also giving the same output. Okay, it is also giving the same output. So as I said, this method usage, it got deprecated already. The advanced feature is implemented in the JDK environment itself, Java Development Kit environment itself, that the environment itself is printing the date class object now. So no need to depend on toString conversion now. Okay, hopefully you understood this thing. So then we have the calendar class, and this is the advanced class, we can say. Over when you are comparing the date class and calendar class, the calendar class is the advanced one. That's the reason many of the methods of your date class got deprecated. Okay, so Java's calendar class is an abstract class that provides methods for converting date between a specific instance in time and a set of calendar fields such as month, year, hour, etc. So in order to handle the specific portions from the system date, like suppose if you need only month, if you need only the year, if you need only the hour, at what time, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m., 12 a.m., 12 p.m. likewise, or if you need only the minutes, like that, if you want to make your application a specific portion of your date, a specific instance of your date, if you need date, not only date but also the time. So okay, specific instance of date and time if you need inside your program, we have different sets, fields, we can say. We have different fields defined inside this calendar class. With the help of those fields, you can get that specific portion. Okay, like month, year, hour, etc. Okay, so it inherits the object class and implements the comparable interface. Okay, the declaration, if you see here, I have given the Java calendar class declaration. It is a public abstract. Remember this one. The class is abstract class. Public abstract class calendar extends the object class and implements the serializable, clonable, comparable interface. Okay, so comparable means with what you can compare, with other calendar objects only you can compare. You don't think that you can compare with any type of object. It is not possible. See, when we are saying implementation to comparable, in the angular brackets we are passing calendar over here. That means this calendar class object you can compare with other calendar class objects only. Remember this one. So our abstract class calendar, it is extending the object class and implementing the serializable, clonable, comparable interfaces. Okay, so here you can see calendar class constructors we have. Okay, constructors of this calendar class. So you have the calendar without any parameters and calendar with parameters. Okay, so these are the some predefined methods which are readily available inside the calendar class, that you can, by remembering the name, you can use inside your program. Okay, so many of the methods, they are returning boolean values. So just when you do the when you calculate, or when you do some comparisons, or when you do some time manipulations, so whether the manipulation is according to your desired need or not, to check that one, we are returning boolean values. Okay, so if boolean value is true, means whatever modification you are expecting, or whatever manipulation you are expecting, it is possible. And if it is returning false, means the manipulation is not possible. Okay, So the calendar class, simple example we have. Okay, we are creating the calendar class as it is an abstract class, so directly you can't invoke the constructor. Remember this one. You can't invoke the constructor of this calendar class. That means you cannot directly instantiate the constructor class in the regular way as we are doing for our regular classes. As it is an abstract class, we need to invoke the get instance method of your object class to get the instance of this calendar class. Okay, remember this one. Direct memory allocation, it is not possible. New operator you cannot apply. Okay, new operator you cannot apply as it is an abstract class. Your calendar class is an abstract class. So what we have to do, we have to go for invocation of get instance method. Get instance method, it is available inside the object class, which will allocate the memory for your object. Okay, this is partial implementation class, so that's the reason we cannot instantiate. So simply we create an object and we try to get the time, and we try to manipulate the date, month, year, okay, by passing some parameters and by using some methods. Okay, so we will see how it will go into programming. Okay, so quickly I will start demonstrating this one. So take another program example, take it as Java. Okay, here once again, as I'm using only the calendar class, so here import only the calendar class. Import java dot util dot calendar. Okay, calendar class we have imported. Now as we are performing the calendar demonstration, so my class name I'm taking calendar demo. Now create the instance, try to create the instance, and as it is uh, what we call abstract class, we cannot use the new operator, so remove that one. So what we have to do, invoke the uh, get instance method, and moreover your get instance method which is there inside your object class, it is a static method. That's the reason we are calling that method directly with the help of calendar class. Okay, it is inherited to this calendar class as well, so it is available inside the calendar class also. So that's the reason we can call this get instance directly, get instance of. So now you got the calendar can object. So first of all, try to print that can object. System.out.println of can. What we get, you just see. Save it with, I need to copy the name of this program. Okay, now save it. Just put .java at the end, hit enter. Program got saved. So now compile. Yeah, it is successfully compiled. You try to print it. See, we are getting some kind of exception over here because it is under it is not yet parsed. Okay, so we need to parse. So from that object, try to get time. It is having so many things in it. The object is having so many things. It is not just the what we call the date and time, how the data object is printing. It is also giving some output, but it is having so many things. As you can see, I will show that output to you. It was having so many things. So here offset, data saving, use daylight, transition. So it is having a week of month, date of month, date of 26. Today it is 26. So it is maintaining like a field, date of month 26. Okay, day of year 238, day of week 5th day, day of week in month 4. Okay, AM, PM. 0 means it is AM, 1 means it is PM, hour at 10 o'clock it is 10 o'clock it is going on, so 10, hour of the day 10, minutes 29, 10:29 it was. Okay, seconds 58, milliseconds 650. Okay, zone offset, likewise it is maintaining so many things. Gregorian calendar it is maintaining, and it is maintaining all these things. Okay, so we don't need all these things. So specifically how we can retrieve using fields, that with the help of, we have different methods. So get time. So now you see what it will print. Compile, hit enter. Now go to tools and run. See, we are getting the time now. Okay, date along with time we are getting. Okay, so if I say yeah, we have other objects also over here. Like fields also you can print. Okay, fields also you can print calendar dot date, calendar dot month, calendar dot year, like that we see. Okay, those fields are okay final, so we can't access them using object. We will try to access them using directly the class. Okay, calendar dot what is the day we have, month we have, and year we have. So let us say first we will, yeah, field all capitals, date. Why it is not going blue? Okay, we will see what it will print. It is correct. So now print. See 5 it is printing. Okay. So likewise we have different fields in this, but our intention to add some from the date subtract 15. Okay, so calendar dot day, calendar dot date minus 15. So it will print 15 days ago what was the time, 15 days ago what was the uh, what we call date we were having, that date it will print. So here you put one message, 15 days ago, like this. Save this. Now go compile. So calendar dot date, DAR here. Control save, compile. No suitable method found for print ln integer. So here we need to use maybe a different method. Yes, add method we need to use here. That is on calendar.add. Okay, not calendar system.out.println, calendar.add. So it will simply add the time to the instance, and that we can use on the system.out.println. So here we need to add the time to the yes, how come can dot add of calendar dot like this. So then print the instance, same thing, then print the instance, system dot out dot println of sorry, can dot get time off, like this it will give. Hopefully compile. Yes, now run. See here, 15 days ago the date was 11th of August and the time was this one. So today it is 26. So if you subtract 15 from this one, you will get this one. Okay, like this you can do many manipulations whatever you want. Like if you want to add 4 months to the current month, so what you have to do, here you put month, sorry, capitals, month, month. Okay, we are adding 4 months. So this is today, this is August, right? So if you add 4 months, what will happen? September, October, November, December, somewhere in the December you will get the date. Compilation successful, and then run. Here in the December you are getting 26 December, and the time, the same time, today's time you are getting. Okay, after 4 months the date will be this one. Hopefully you understood. Then if I put something like year, calendar dot year, 2 years I'm adding, again capitals, 2 years, let us say if I add. So what will happen to today's date? It will add 2 years. Okay, compile, hit enter. Now go run. As you can see, we are seeing 2023 now. Okay, the future time we are seeing now. So like this you can manipulate the dates according to your requirement into your application. Okay, hopefully you understood this one. So everything is possible, whatever scenario, whatever aspect you are currently I mean, if you start developing whatever scenario you will get into your mind, all those scenarios you can get in terms of program. Okay, in terms of programming logics. Okay, this is about the calendar class. So we have the last class under this what we call the java.util package, that is the timer class. So timer class is nothing but this is something like a countdown timer unit, a stopper unit, a stopwatch unit, all those types of things you can get with the help of this timer class. So this timer class provides a facility for the threads to schedule tasks for future execution in background thread. So let us suppose if you want a particular thread to be executed at so and so time. So I want all the temporary files, whatever I have in my computer, and whatever I have inside my recycle bin to be deleted exactly in the midnight. So when the midnight, and my system, if it is running exactly in the midnight, what should happen? At 12 o'clock, everything whatever I have inside my recycle bin, inside my temporary folders, I want those things to be deleted. So I can schedule that with the help of a thread by simply scheduling the thread, scheduling the task with the help of this timer class. Okay, hopefully you understood the scheduling, what I mean by scheduling so and so task inside the computer. Suppose I want to give what we call an update. I want to run an update in the, I want to run the update, or I want to check for the update of my application exactly in the midnight, because in the midnight the uh, overload on the server will be very less. So I want to utilize the time for updating my server. So I want to perform a random check of updates in the midnight. So inside your application, if you want to implement such a thing, you can do with the help of this timer class. Okay, the class is thread safe. Okay, that means multiple threads can share a single timer object without using the external synchronization. It is thread safe, so all the threads can simultaneously access and get the object functionality, and without, there is no need of what we call the synchronization. Okay. See, object is thread safe in the sense multiple threads, if they are accessing without collision or without errors, they can access. No need of synchronization, in the sense Java itself providing the synchronization mechanism over there, because by making that class as a thread safe class. Okay. So the declaration of the timer class, it is extending only the object class. Okay, public class timer extends object, remember this one. So these are the constructors we have inside the timer class, like timer, timer with few arguments. Okay, so these are the methods listing: purge, cancel. Okay, schedule at fixed rate, schedule at fixed rate with some different arguments. Okay, schedule with some different arguments. Likewise, we have the methods, you can get the description. Okay, so then this is a simple demonstrating program. Here we are making use of some other classes as well. Like these classes, they are available under your SQL package. Okay, timer task, timer is our class only. About it only we are discussing. This timer task, it is also available under util package, and it is also a part of your java.sql package. Okay, timer task. So these this implementation of program, it is something like scheduling a particular thread to so and so time. Okay, so how it will go, or after 2000 milliseconds, something like that we are doing Java program to demonstrate schedule method calls of timer class. So after every 2000 milliseconds, what will happen, a particular method will get invoked. Okay, the run method get invoked. So this program we will try to demonstrate. Okay, and we will see what output we will get. So simply, yeah, we need to implement two, we need to import two classes. One is the timer class, and the other one is the timer task class. So import java.util.timer task. If you want to get the details about this timer, okay, it is not supporting timer task, by the way. Okay, okay, task k. So here what we are doing, we are demonstrating the timer class. Okay, inside the yeah, take one helper. Yeah, you make it as the helper class, because here we are creating the object of helper class and our public class will be over here. So before this, take the helper class. Here you make it as helper and you extend this from timer task. Okay, extends timer task, and in this you put one run method. So you make, okay, timer task, it is a thread class. Okay, it is something like a thread class. So if you extend that class, your class will become a thread class. So inside it we are declaring one static variable, public static uh, int I. Okay, int I equals to 0, and you void a run method, public void run method, public void run method, and inside you print the value of I. Okay, by performing the pre-increment, I am printing the value of I. So inside this, like this. So system dot out dot println of, okay, do we have, yes, timer ran. Okay, timer ran concatenate with plus plus I. Okay, like this, concatenate with plus plus I, and here if you like this you give. So just to avoid the confusion over there. Okay, then come down, and inside our timer demo, what we have to do, create the object instance of timer class. So just timer, what we have given the name, timer equals to new timer off. Are we passing any arguments? No. Then create the instance of helper class, and that instance you try to put inside timer task. Okay, so timer task equals to new helper off. So like this. So then timer dot schedule method we are calling, timer dot schedule of timer dot schedule of, pass the task is nothing but invoking the run method task, and give some, to get the description about this schedule method, you have to go for the description. Okay, method description, maybe here we are having method, what is that, schedule method. So one is a task object we are passing, and the time we are passing. Okay, here date first time and long period, how long you want this to be um, executed, that schedule method here we are calling. So just save it. It should ask the name, right? Timer demo, it is not asking, so just go and save as. Okay, now you print okay, timer demo dot java, hit enter, program got saved now. So now compile. Okay, Achha, it is int. Okay, save it, now compile. As you can see, it got compiled successfully. Now run. See here, timer ran 1. It is taking some delay before printing every output. It is taking some delay. Okay, because we scheduled in that way. It has to wait for 2000 milliseconds before printing a value. Okay, so accordingly, every time it is calling the task after so and so period, delay is getting over. Okay, so like this, it will keep on execute itself. Hopefully you understood this one. Okay, so this program, it is an important program, and previously they asked this thing, using timer class to schedule a task. Okay, so in this way you can write a simple using timer and timer task classes, you can simply implement this program. Okay, very easy program. Just we have to put one helper class, and in that helper class we are keeping one task. The task is, we have given one static variable, and we are changing that static variable inside the run method. And inside the timer demo, we are creating the instance of both timer class object, timer class instance, as well as the task instance. So that task we are scheduling using the schedule method, and we are providing two parameters. So initial time and the end time, we can say. Okay, So save this program, and hopefully with this we have concluded your uh, what we call java.util package, and we need to discuss about the regex. Still we have, I think, regular expressions that we will discuss, that we will see in our next session. Hardly one or more, two sessions I can say, before we conclude these regular expressions. Okay. So by the time, thank you very much, students. So hopefully in one more session, I'm going to wind up the complete syllabus for CSC people, hopefully. Thank you, students.